111, solving equations and inequalities graphically. Okay, so the idea here is pretty much found in the first two exercises, which the first one is the solutions of this equation. So if you have some function equal to 0, they're going to be the x-intercepts of the graph of y equals x squared minus 5x minus 5. And then the second one is the solutions of inequality. So if you have something like, if you have some function greater than 0, then they're the x coordinates of the points that are going to lie above the x-axis. Okay, so if you have this one, then it's going to be below the points that are below the x-axis. Okay, and then if you have this one, okay, it's going to be above or on. So the union, so it's also on, above or on. And then of course this one right here is below or on. Okay, so that's the idea right there. So, but let's get into like how this actually plays out. Okay, so we're going to look at exercise number 3. And this is actually how it plays out. So here we have an actual graph of a function, y equals x to the 4th minus 3x cubed minus x squared plus 3x. That's what the graph looks like. And we want to find the solutions where it's equal to 0. Okay, so where it's equal to 0, that's going to be where, those are going to be the x-intercepts. Okay, so we have one at -1, we have 0, we have 1, and we have 3. Okay, so those are the answers. So that's 1, 0, 1, and 3. Wait, I'm sorry, that's -1 right there. Okay, so those are going to be the answers to the first part. And then the second part is where it's less than or equal to 0. And here, remember that I said this is less than or equal means below or on. Okay, so you're looking at the part of the graph that's below the x, that's below, that's also below, all that. Okay, and that's the part of the graph that's below. And so, but then what you want is you want the x values. You want the corresponding x values. So that would be these values in here, from -1 to 0. And then also these values here from 1 to 3. Okay, so from 1 to 3. Now this symbol here, this union symbol, you can get that if you just type out the word union, or you can select it in the set menu from the in Webassign. You can get that there. Okay, so this is the answer to the second part right here. Okay, great. So again, this is less than or equal to below or on, so it'd be these values here. Okay, let's move along. Okay, here we have another one. Here we have 2. So the thing here is that there's 2 different functions. There's this y equals 4x minus x squared. That's this parabola, this red parabola. And then y equals 3, that's this vertical line. Okay, so use the graphs to do the following. A, find the solutions of the equation. So they're setting this equal to that, which is that and that, right? So just setting those 2 equal to each other. That's gonna, okay, now this one is going to be where they intersect. So right here and here. And but what you do is you look for the x value, that's a 3, and the x value there is a 1. So it's going to be 1 and 3 where they intersect. Okay, and then the second part is where 4x minus x squared plus is greater than 3. So this is going to, for this one right here, the graph of 4x minus x squared is above y equals 3. So the graph, this graph is above that graph. And remember, this graph is the red graph right here. And then this graph here is the blue graph. So you're looking to where the red is above the blue, which will be everything from here to here, or all these points right there. Okay, so the second answer, but not including the endpoints, because this is strictly greater than, so it's not going to include the endpoints. So that's going to be the interval from 1 to 3. Okay, so we write it with the parentheses because we're not including endpoints and because we have this symbol here, as opposed to the greater than or equal to symbol. Okay, any comments on this or questions, remarks? Okay, let's move to the next exercise. These ones, they say solve it algebraically and graphically. But I think I'm gonna, well, I think I'm gonna just skip the graphically part, because I'll give you plenty of examples of solving graphically. Okay, so algebraically would be you take this equation and solve for x. In this case, you can move the 27 over to the other side. So you get x squared equals 27. And then extract square roots. Extracting square roots will give you plus or minus the square root of 27. Okay, but you know that 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, and 2 of those 3's will come out as 1 3. Okay, so 2 3's will come out as 1 3. So it's the answer is going to be negative 3 root 3 and positive 3 root 3. Okay, so that's the algebraic answer, which is the exact one. Now for the graphically answer, doing it graphically, would be to like use a graphing calculator to find where this crosses the x-axis. Okay. And I guess I'll do that. Okay, so so what we're going to do is we're going to graph this function here, x squared minus 27. And okay, so I'm going to go to the graphing calculator, and that is going to be on GeoGebra. Okay, so okay, so I've already been playing around with this before. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put in the function that we have, which is x squared minus 27. Just put that in there, hit enter, and it gives you this graph here. So there's the graph. I can zoom out by using the mouse roll button, but it tells me what the roots are. So there's negative 5.196 is one of them. So I have to click there, and I click over here to get the other one, and I get positive 5.196. Okay, so those are going to be my answers graphically. Now the problem says to round it off to 2 decimal places. So if I round this to 2 decimal places, that means I'm going to round this 6. This 6 has to make this 9 go up to a 10, which means I'm going to get negative 5.2, and then this is going to be 5.2. Okay, by similar logic. Okay, so negative 5.2 and 5.2 would be the answers. Let me go back here. And I have negative 5.2 and 5.2. So that would be solving it graphically. So again, I put this in, I put y equals that in, and I find where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, and it turns out that this negative 5.2 is approximately negative 3 root 3, and this 5.2 is approximately 3 root 3. So they're pretty much, the answers are going to look different because here you're rounding off and you're trying to estimate, and here you have the exact answer, what the algebraic means. Okay, so let's take a look at the second part. So number 2, or number 6, I'm sorry. Solve this equation both algebraically and graphically. Okay, so here we take the 80 to the other side, so do it algebraically first. Take the 80 over to the other side like that. And now what we want to do is you want to take the fourth root of both sides, and it's kind of like extracting square roots because you're going to get a plus or minus. The fourth root of 80. Okay, and then I'm going to take the 6 over to the other side, so I've got 6 plus or minus the square root of, and then this 80, I'm going to split it up. So you know that 80 is 16 times 5, right? 16 times 5. So that means it's 2. 16 is 2 times 2 to the 4th power, like that. Okay, and these 2's all come out as 1, 2 out of the radical. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the 4th root of 5, so I'm gonna put a 4 there. Okay, and so that means that the answer is 6 minus 2 times the 4th root of 5, and 6 plus 2 times the 4th root of 5. Okay, now in Webassign, to get this, to get 4th root, let's see, what do you do? Functions. You go to the in the menu on the right hand side, you go to functions. Okay. So to get this, you get functions menu. And menu. Okay, and then it'll have a symbol that's like this. And that's the one that you want to use right here. Okay. Okay, so now let's do graphically. So for graphically, we go back over to here, and we change this to the function that we had, which is x minus 6 to the 4th power minus 80. Hit enter. And over here, it gives us 2 different values. Okay, so you're rounding to 2 decimal places. This is 3.01. And then over here, it crosses at 8.99. Okay, so 3.01, because rounding that 9, this 9 rounds this up to a 1 right here, 3.01 and 8.99. Okay, so then we'll come back here, and those are the answers that we'll put in. So, okay, so 3.01 and 8.99. That's graphically. And again, this answer is just 6 minus 2 times the 4th root of 5. And this answer is 6 plus 2 times the 4th root of 5. Approximately. They correspond. They're not exactly, but that's approximately what happens. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, unless there's any questions about this. Okay, so number 7, we're solving this equation here, x cubed plus 9x squared plus 26x minus 24 on the interval from -1 to 5. So we're only interested in values in solutions to this that are in the interval from -1 to 5. Okay, and so again, what you do is you go over to GeoGebra, and you just put in the function, so x to the third minus 9x to squared plus 26x minus 24. Hit enter. Okay, so here we have the graph right here. And we're only, okay, so it's important to remember we're only interested in values between -1, which is around here, and 5, which is around here. And it looks like we have 3 candidates. It goes to the point 2, 0, and then clicking here we get 3, 0, and then clicking here we get 4, 0. So we're only interested in the x value, so 2, 3, and 4 are the answers. Okay, so we'll go back and write that down. So here, from the graph, it's 2, 3, and 4. Okay, those would be the answers to that. Okay, and number 8, we're supposed to solve this equation in the interval from -1 to 5. Now, there's 2 ways you can do that. Because here, this is equal to 0. Okay, notice that that's equal to 0. And if we go back, that's equal to 0, that's equal to 0. Okay, and here we had 2 different ones. Okay, so here, it's just like this equation right here. The left-hand side is this, and the right-hand side is this 3. Okay, so there's actually 2 options that you can do this. One of them would be to graph one function as y equals 2 plus the square root of x, and then graph another function as y equals the square root of 4 plus x squared. Okay, and then just look and see where those 2 intersect. Okay, so and the other option would be, so this is option 1 or option A. The other option B would be to just pull everything to the left-hand side and just graph this one. And then look where it intersects. And then, so with this first one, it's where these intersect each other. Those will give you the answers. That'll give you the answer where they intersect each other. Here it is where this function intersects the x-axis. Okay. So option B would be you just bring this to the left-hand side, and then it's where this function here intersects the x-axis. Okay, let's go with this option here. Just to show you how that works, I'm going to erase the function that I had before. I'm going to put the function that the left-hand side, which is 2 plus, if I type sqrt and then parentheses, it automatically shifts to that one. Okay, hit enter, and then that looks like that. Okay, and then I have the other one is going to the square root of, and then so sqrt and then parentheses, it goes to that, and 4 plus x squared. Okay, so these are the 2 graphs, and what you want to do is you want to look and see where, So again, this is the interval from -1 to 5. You want to see where these intersect. It looks like they intersect in 2 spots, right here and over here somewhere. Okay, right here, this one is at 0. Okay, so 0 is going to be an answer. Again, you're only interested in the x coordinate. So 0 is the answer here. Okay, over here, it's not giving me the intersection, unfortunately. So what you can do, though, is you can zoom in. And notice as I zoom in, then these numbers here become smaller. I want 2 decimal places. I can move this around a bit. Zoom in some more. Okay, I'm zooming in. I want it to 2 decimal places. Okay, so right here, I have this down here. It says 3.22 and 3.23. So this is closer to 3.23 than it is to 3.22, and it's close. So this is closer to this one than any other of these numbers that's to 2 decimal places. So 3.23 is going to be the answer. Okay, so the first one was 0, and the second one is 3.23. Okay, now again, it's only the x value that counts. We don't care about the y value, but they do intersect about 3.7, almost 3.8, between 3.79 and 3.8. Okay, but so it's the 3.23 that we're after. So we'll go and we'll put that in as the answer. Okay. So we had 0 and 3.23 as the answers. Okay, so I guess there is a disadvantage for doing it this way. So let's go back and do it this way, and I'll show you. Okay, so let's go back and do it this way. Now I've zoomed in, and so that's kind of inconvenient. So let's see here. Okay, so instead of these 2 separate ones, I'm going to just do one of them. And I'm going to subtract the other one. So SQRT parentheses 4 plus x squared. Okay, and then I'm going to, I'm just going to completely delete this one. And just have, I can't delete it. Okay, delete. Okay. So then I'm going to zoom out. So that's the difference between the 2. Okay, and here, again, I'm only interested from -1 to 5, and we have 0 as one answer, and the other answer is this 3.22677, and which rounds to 3.23. Okay, and again, 3.23 was the answer. So I guess that would have gotten it easier. Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. So again, this way it gets it to you. This way also gives it to you. Okay, move on to number 9. Unless there's any questions. Any questions about anything? I think it's still just the 3 of us. Oh well. Okay, so anyways, number 9, use a graphical method to solve this equation. That's equal to 0, so that's no big deal. So we'll go and so 3x to the 4th plus 7x squared plus 1 equals 0. So we'll come over here to our GeoGebra and put that in. So 3x to the 4th plus 7x squared plus 1. Okay, so and this one, we're interested in any solutions anywhere. Okay, so here's our graph right there. It's got this point highlighted, but it also highlights the minimum and maximum points. I don't know if you recognize that. Okay, it's not intersecting down here anywhere. And even if we zoom out, it's not intersecting the x-axis anywhere. And even if you zoom out, it's not going to intersect it. And then if you examine the function, then you start to think, well, whoa, hold on. If I put any value of x in here and I raise it to the 4th power, then that's going to be positive, right? And multiply by 3, that's going to be positive. This is also going to be positive. And then the 1's also going to be positive. So no matter what value of x I put in here, this expression is going to be positive, which means it's going to be above the x-axis. It's not going to intersect it. It can never be 0 for any real number. So this has no solution. Okay, and no real solution, because there's 4 complex solutions, but this is no real solution. Okay, so that would be the answer to that. Okay, let's look at this one right here. So x to the 4th equals 16 minus x cubed. So judging by what happened with the other problem, I think it's better for us to bring everything to the right-hand side, like this. Okay, so x to the 4th, this x cubed comes over as a plus x cubed, and then the 16 comes over as minus 16. Equals 0. So have it equal to 0, and then that, because the GeoGebra seems to do really well with giving us values of what's on the x-axis, the x-intercepts. Okay, so let's go over to GeoGebra. Okay, and we'll erase that one, and we'll put in x to the 4th plus x to the 3rd minus 16. Okay, so that's what the graph looks like, and we have 2 zeros. Okay, so one of them is negative 2.31, and the other one is 1 point. Okay, so this 9 rounds that to 8 to a 9, so 1.79. Okay, so negative 2.31 and 1.79. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put those answers in. Negative 2.31 and 1.79. Okay, number 11. So here we have an inequality. Okay, x cubed plus 11x less than or equal to 6x squared plus 6. So again, it's going to be easier if we bring everything to the other side. So this 6x squared comes over as minus 6x squared. And the 6 comes over as minus 6. And it's less than or equal to 0. Okay, and now this means that we're going to look at points that are on or below the x-axis. Okay, that's what we're going to be interested in. Points that are on or below the x-axis. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over to GeoGebra and graph this. This is x to the third minus 6x squared plus 11x minus 6. Hit enter. Okay, so this one, okay, so it pretty much is like this. And remember, we're looking for on or below the x-axis. Okay, so all of these points are below the x-axis. Here we have above. So from 0 to 1, it's below the. From everything less than 1, all these x values that are less than 1, the graph is below the x-axis. Here, from 1 to 2, it's above. From 2 to 3, it's below. And then from 3 on up, it's above. Okay? So, let me come back over and try to, like, do an analysis over here of it and what we want. Okay, so in graphing this right here, it came up at 1, it crossed, and then at 2, it crossed again, and at 3, it crossed the third time. So it was like this. It came up like that, dipped down, and then went up, and continued going up, right? So that's roughly what it did. Okay, so now we're looking at on or below. So that would be all of this, including that point, and then below, right? And that's 1. Okay, so all of this is going to be negative infinity to 1, including the 1. Okay, and then all this in here, it's below or on. That's going to be 2 to 3. Okay, so the answer is going to be this. Okay, now again, this symbol in the middle, you can get that by typing in the word union. This important that you have these brackets right here. These brackets means that 1, 2, and 3 are included in the solution. It's important to have parentheses here because negative infinity is not really considered a number, so it's not included in. So it can't be a part of the solution.